Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So it is now mid-August, and there are still plenty of high-level RFAs, all-star level RFAs. And although I don't think these guys are going to be changing teams, signing offer sheets, or getting traded, or even pulling like a William Nylander and taking it into the regular season, their negotiations are clearly in some type of a stalemate. So I wanted to go through and predict what their contracts will end up looking, because we have a clear picture. We know how much cap space some of these teams have left, how much cap space they can offer their restricted free agents. So we're going to go through 10 of the biggest names right now, and I'm just going to break down what I think they're going to end up getting paid from their respective teams. Up first, we got Lucas Raymond. I don't know why I said that like I was German or something, but yeah, Raymond's coming off a massive career year, 31 goals, 41 assists for 72 points. I'm going to go with a 3-year deal at $7.5 million. The Detroit Red Wings have around $17.6 million remaining. They got to re-sign Moritz Cider, who we're going to get to, as well as Jonathan Berggren. I think if they were to bridge one of them, it probably will be Raymond instead of Cider. Cider has 3 straight years of kind of being their number one defenseman. Raymond has been a little bit up, down, then back up. So maybe they bridge him here. You look at some of their other contracts, line him up with a guy like Andrew Kopp, who right now is making for the next 3 years like $5.6 million. Once Raymond's bridge deal is up, you're going to have some money coming off the books, as well as Chirot and Hull having 2 years left on their contract. And yeah, $7.5 million give him serious first line money. Similarly to Alex DeBrincat, I think Yzerman would be like, you don't have quite the track record of Alex DeBrincat. He only got 7.875. You're definitely not getting like $8.7 million like a Dylan Larkin. So as a result, I'm going to go 3 years, 7.5. Will not shock me one bit if they do go long term. They do have the money to potentially sign both long term, but if anybody, I think Raymond is the one that ends up getting bridged. Next up, Cole Peretti, 2 years, $2.85 million. The Winnipeg Jets do have $5.7 million in cap space roughly. So maybe they can make it a 3-4 year deal at around $3.54 million. But honestly, if I was Cole Peretti, I would only want to sign like a 2-year deal, even if it is at a relatively low cap hit, considering his stock is really not that high right now. I don't know why you would, at what is he, 22, 23 years old, lock yourself up on some 3, 4, 5-year deal, considering the fact that your ass stupidly got benched in the first 4 games of the playoffs for the Winnipeg Jets against the Colorado Avalanche. In the regular season, he was very solid. He had 19 goals, 19 assists for 38 points in 71 games. I think he could break out. So as a result, I think that he's going to go around the 2-year, maybe 3-year deal. And then when he's up, hopefully by then they finally give him some ice time and he can sign a deal around $6-7 million if he really breaks out. So yeah, 2 years, $2.85 million for Cole Peretti. Matty Beniers, I've spoken about it a lot, but he kind of fumbled the bag coming off last offseason. I was like, lock up Matty Beniers, give him an 8-year, $8.5 million contract after he won the Calder with 57 points, had great defensive numbers. Seattle only has $6.4 million in cap space, and similarly to Perfetti, I don't know why Beniers would sign a long-term deal at this point. Like an 8-year deal for him would probably be like $7.25 million on the table. So as a result, I'm going to go with 2 years at 5.5. He's still going to get a hefty amount, even though based on this year, you only had 37 points. Still was solid defensively as well, but was probably only worth like $4.5 to $5 million. But he still should get around $5-ish million, considering the rookie year that he had, considering he still is kind of like the franchise player in Seattle as of right now. So a 2-year deal at 5.5. Hopefully bounces back, gets back to around 57 points next year, and then takes that leap into the 60s. And then when he's 23, 24 years old, he signs that big time 8-year, $8.5 million contract to truly be their number one center going forward. Next up, Dawson Mercer. I'm going to go 3 years at $3.5 million. The Devils do have around $5 million in cap space. But again, like the 2 prior guys, Dawson Mercer, who had 56 or 57 points the year prior, this year had a big down year compared to that. So as a result, I don't know why he would sign some long-term deal, but the Devils get him on some term at 3 years, as well as $3.5 million for a guy that I think will bounce back and will be around 50 points. It's kind of tough because they brought in Timo Meier. So as a result, he doesn't really have as much opportunities on the wing right now. So when looking at Dawson Mercer, 3 years, $3.5 million. The Dallas Stars, Thomas Harley, 3 years, $6.25 million. Dallas has exactly $6.24 million in cap space. Just give all that to Thomas Harley on like a 2 to 3 year deal. This season, he was very good. 15 goals, 32 assists for 47 points. And yeah, line him up with Sagan, who has 3 years left at $9.85 million. Ilya Lyubushkin's new deal is it's 3 years at $3.75 million. So basically, you line him up with those contracts. Then when you have to pay him that 8-year, $7.58 million contract, you have the money to do that, and he is well worth $6.2 million the next 3 years, so they get some value on that bridge deal, much like they did with Jason Robertson, who signed a 4-year, $7.75 million contract. That has been an absolute steal. So I think the Dallas Stars, they get a pretty decent discount on Thomas Harley the next 3 years, in part because of the no state income tax, and they get the job done. Kaliev is an interesting one because apparently he wants to get traded, but at this point, I'm not sure anything's going to be materialized. I ended up going with a 1-year deal at $1.25 million. The LA Kings have $1.3 million in cap space. Kaliev was pretty bad this season. Just didn't really get that much of an opportunity, honestly. He played like 11 minutes a night, only had 15 points in 51 games, but this is a year removed in 2023. This guy had 13 goals, 15 assists for 28 points in 56 games. Get him on a 1-year deal. Maybe you find someone that wants to trade him. You package him at the deadline, move him somewhere else, but you get him at a relatively low cap hit to factor into your bottom 6 of an actual playoff team. Signed, sealed, done. Not that much term, so Kaliev isn't stuck there. Good work by both parties for the LA Kings, and maybe they can move on at some point soon. Next up, Seth Jarvis. Carolina only has $6.4 million in cap space, so I went with a 2-year deal at $6.4 million. Maybe they could somehow move some money around, but considering they decided to keep Martin Necas and gave Martin Necas $6.5 million, they really don't have that much wiggle room around Seth Jarvis. So I think 2 years, maybe even 1 year. I don't know exactly, but 2 years, $6.4 million, and then some money will come off the books in those 2 years where Seth Jarvis can get his 8-year deal at $8.59 million. He had 33 goals, 34 assists for 64 points this year, well worth north of $6.4 million. But yeah, until Carolina actually does something in terms of clearing up money, they only have 6.4. I agree. On a 2-year deal, you should get like $7 million. But when looking at it, that is just not feasible right now. So as a result, I got to go with $6.4 million. Moritz Cider, I went with an 8-year deal, and I'm going to go with 8 years at $8.6 million. You look at Brock Faber after one rookie year, he got 8 years at $8.5 million. Moritz Cider gets a little bit more than that because he's been around the block for 3 straight seasons. Doesn't go north of the captain of Dylan Larkin at $8.7 million. And yeah, as long as Cider can be a solid number 1 on that contract at $8.6 million, that is very good value for the Detroit Red Wings if he continues to progress and turns into a top 15, top 10 defenseman in the NHL. 8.6 is going to look like a steal in a couple years from now. I think, again, that they might be more likely to extend Moritz Seider long-term just because they have a larger, more consistent sample size compared to a Lucas Raymond. If it is a bridge deal around $3 million or 3 years, I'd say it'd be around in the neighborhood of Lucas Raymond at $7.75 million. But I think we're seeing these defensemen get long-term deals basically once they show any flashes. So as a result, I think the same thing will happen with Moritz Seider. We got Tate McRae's ex-boyfriend, Cole Sillinger. I'm going to go with a 2-year deal at $1.4 million. They were somehow able to lock up Kent Johnson at like $1.5 million or $1.75 million for 3 years. So I think they'd get some, maybe a little bit of term. By the way, I don't know why Kent Johnson signed that deal. If he explodes this time next year, it's going to be an absolute steal. But when looking at Sillinger, he had a bit of a bounce back. He had 32 points in 77 games after really falling off in the 2023 season, where he only had 11 points in 64 games. Still can be a solid middle sixer. Again, I feel like Sillinger has been in the league for 3 years, but we forget that this guy was taken in the 2021 draft. Like, he seems a lot older than he is, but it's because he, after going 11th overall, debuted immediately after in the 2021-2022 season. So as a result, I still think that he's only going to get better from here and can turn into a solid 40 to 50 point guy. So in looking at him, I think 2 years, 1.4 get not any serious term, but get 2 years at above the league minimum, because right now he is kind of a bottom sixer. 2 years, $1.4 million. And then lastly, save the best for last. Jeremy Swayman, by far the best restricted free agent as of right now, based on especially what he did in the playoffs last season. I'm going to go 8 years at $8.15 million. Boston Bruins have around $8.6 million in cap space remaining. I'm sure that's what Swayman's agents are asking for. 8 years, 8.6, spend to the goddamn cap. Give us all the money available. I think Boston is going to get him down a little bit. That's probably why they're in a goddamn stalemate right now. But when looking at Jeremy Swayman, a .920 save percentage last last year, 916 this year when he kind of assumed that 1A role, as well as being fantastic in the playoffs. So as a result, I think you give him around an Ilya Sorokin deal. And honestly, he's younger than Sorokin when he signs that deal and when it's going to kick in. Both of their deals kick in at the same place. Swayman is what, 2 to 3 years younger. I think you just lock him up. I think it'd be stupid to bridge him, especially considering you got rid of Linus Ullmark. Lock up Jeremy Swayman, make him the netminder of your future. And again, 8.15. He would be the 4th or 5th highest paid goalie in the entire NHL, but he probably is a 4th through 7th best goalie in the NHL. And that's only as other guys continue to get paid. Sturkin, Saros' deal kicks in. Actually, Saros' deal kicks in only like 7.75. But more guys are going to get paid. There's going to be more $8-9 million goaltenders. And Jeremy Swayman is one of the most promising goaltenders and has already arrived in the entire NHL. So 8 years, $8.15 million. But let me know in the comments, what do you think about these contract predictions? Am I missing? I don't think I'm missing any notable RFAs. If so, let me know in the comments below. I'll be seeing you in the next one.